Your fear is not the problem. Your silence is good morning, beautiful souls. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred pause Black women have been waiting for. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dola, say, like sweet softness whispered in French, and I am your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. Today, I had the profound honor of sitting down with Nikia Simpson, a woman whose work is reshaping how Black women entrepreneurs and professionals navigate fear, self doubt, and the journey to reclaiming their power. Nikia is not just a voice in the wilderness, she is a lighthouse for those of us who have spent years hiding behind walls, shrinking our fire, and isolating ourselves in the name of strength. Her insights are changing lives, disrupting outdated narratives, and giving Black women permission to lead with wholeness instead of exhaustion. She is making the world a better place by refusing to let fear and silence win. And today I'm here to share what she taught me, what she's teaching all of us about calling our power back. So let's dive in. Here's what we've been told our entire lives: fear means you're not ready. Self doubt means you're unqualified. Anxiety means you need to toughen up, push harder, be stronger. We've been taught to kill fear, to hide it behind a mask of strength, to never let anyone see us sweat, especially in our community, especially as Black women. We've been conditioned to believe that if we're afraid, we're failing. But what if I told you that everything you've been taught about fear is wrong? What if your fear and self doubt are not signs that you're unqualified, but proof that you're evolving? This is the counterintuitive truth Nikia Simpson shared with me, and it's the truth that's going to set you free. Instead of treating fear as the enemy, we need to see it as data, evidence that we're stretching beyond survival mode and into our true power. Many Black women entrepreneurs describe fear and anxiety as part of their path, not a disqualifier from success. When we stop hiding behind walls, shrinking ourselves, and pretending we're not afraid, we can call our power back and build businesses, build lives that are sustainable, aligned, and rooted in wholeness rather than constant overwork and performance. So, the unexpected perspective Nikia brought to our conversation is this: the goal is not to be fearless. The goal is to be honest, resourced, and powerful while fear rides shotgun. Let me say that again. The goal is not to be fearless. The goal is to be honest, resourced, and powerful while fear rides shotgun. Now, I know some of you are sitting there thinking, but LeAnne, I've been afraid my whole life. I've been doubting myself since I was a little girl. How is that evolution? How is that power? Let me tell you about a woman named Jacqueline Millender. Jacqueline is a Black woman entrepreneur who was featured in Bold Journey magazine, and she openly shared her journey of battling doubt and fear while building her business. She faced persistent self doubt and fear that made her question her capabilities as a Black woman entrepreneur. She struggled with confidence and self esteem, which affected her willingness to fully show up in her work. She felt the pressure to have it all figured out before taking action. Sound familiar? But here's what Jacqueline did: she didn't wait for the fear to disappear. She didn't wait for some magical moment when she'd suddenly feel confident enough. She consciously built her confidence and self esteem through intentional positive self talk, using affirmations and reframing negative thoughts. She embraced perseverance, adaptability, and confidence as core principles guiding her decisions. She allowed herself to take imperfect action, emphasizing that you don't need complete clarity to begin. And here's the outcome: fear and doubt still exist for Jacqueline, but they no longer control her, allowing her to move forward despite discomfort. She developed a more resilient, grounded leadership style in her entrepreneurial journey. Her story models how inner work directly affects external business outcomes, especially for Black women navigating bias and expectations. Jacqueline describes earlier experiences of questioning her worth and capabilities then gradually learning to speak to herself with more compassion and intention. Over time, she noticed that the more she practiced positive self talk and allowed herself to grow, the more opportunities she could see and say yes to. This evolution mirrors the journey from hiding behind walls and shrinking to reclaiming power and visibility. Her story encourages other Black women entrepreneurs to use self talk as a tool for reclaiming power, not just personal confidence. It challenges the myth that successful entrepreneurs never feel fear, showing instead that they redefine their relationship with it. So here's the first key insight I want you to take away from my conversation with Nikia Simpson. Your fear is not a disqualification, it's a compass. For Black professionals and entrepreneurs, fear often shows up right at the edge of opportunity, new roles, new contracts, new visibility. Instead of reading it as I'm not ready, learn to read it as I'm stepping into a bigger version of myself. Fear is not a stop sign. Fear is a signpost. Now, let me tell you about another woman. In a Facebook community post focused on small business owners, a Black female professional spoke to the experience of overcoming fear and self doubt as a small business owner, specifically addressing Black women entrepreneurs. She faced chronic self doubt that caused her to question her decisions and delay action on business ideas. She experienced fear of failure and judgment that made her hesitate to show up fully and take risks. She carried internalized messages about needing to be strong, which led to suppressing vulnerability and isolating herself. Does this sound like anyone you know? Maybe someone you see in the mirror every morning? But here's what she did. She consciously decided to stop letting doubt stop her dreams, recognizing how often entrepreneurs allow insecurity to block their potential. She began reframing her mindset around fear, treating it as something to be faced and worked through rather than a reason to stay small. She used community spaces and affirmations to validate her experiences and build confidence. And the outcome? Greater willingness to take action despite uncertainty, launching and growing her small business instead of holding back. A more empowered relationship with fear, it became a signal to prepare and plan rather than to retreat. As a Black female professional, she navigated both racial and gendered expectations in entrepreneurship. The constant message to be strong often meant she avoided acknowledging her own emotional needs. Over time, she realized that denying fear didn't make it go away, it just made her smaller. Claiming her power meant admitting the fear and choosing movement anyway. Her story helps normalize conversations about fear, doubt, and mental health among Black women entrepreneurs, which can reduce isolation and stigma. It reinforces the message that calling your power back requires confronting mental and emotional barriers, not just setting business goals. So here's the second key insight from my conversation with Nikia Simpson. You don't have to have everything figured out to claim your power and take the first step. Many successful Black women entrepreneurs emphasize that clarity grows through action, not perfection. They moved forward while still doubting themselves, and they built confidence through small, consistent decisions, not overnight transformation. You don't need a roadmap, you need a first step. Now, let me share one more story with you. In a post aimed at women entrepreneurs, a woman shared how fear was once her greatest obstacle in business, but she learned to transform it into a buddy that travels with her rather than controls her. Fear held her back for too long, whispering doubts and insecurities that prevented her from taking action in her business. She faced internal resistance to visibility, risk, and leadership decisions, all rooted in anxiety and self doubt. She experienced the emotional toll of constantly battling fear without tools to manage it productively. But here's what she did: she reframed fear from being an enemy to being a companion, acknowledging that fear will show up, but does not get to make decisions. She committed to refusing to let fear stop her, choosing courageous action, and reframing whenever fear arose. She emphasized the importance of mindset work and community to sustain this new relationship with fear. And the outcome? Increased courage to take aligned risks and move forward on entrepreneurial goals even when fear is present. A sustainable mental model. Fear is data and a sign of growth, not a verdict on her worth or potential. She describes a long period where fear dominated her entrepreneurial journey, keeping her from launching, growing, or fully showing up. This mirrors the experience of many Black women who have hidden their fears and shrunk their dreams to stay safe. The turning point came when she stopped trying to eliminate fear and started integrating it into her process as something she could coexist with while still claiming her power. Her framing of fear as a buddy offers a powerful reframe for Black women in entrepreneurship. You don't have to be fearless to be powerful. You just have to stop letting fear drive. So here's the third key insight from my conversation with Nikia Simpson. Calling your power back is a daily practice, not a one time breakthrough. From positive self talk to community support and strategy, confidence is built through habits, reframing fear, affirming your worth, seeking aligned mentorship, and taking small, courageous actions even when you still feel unsure. This is not a destination, this is a discipline. Now, I want to pause here and talk about what this means for us, for Black women who have spent our entire lives being told to be strong, to carry the weight, to never let them see us sweat. We've been praised for being strong while quietly battling anxiety, self doubt, and isolation as we build our businesses, raise our families, lead our teams, hold down our households, carry our communities. We've been told that softness is weakness, the vulnerability is failure, that rest is laziness. But the shift doesn't happen when everything gets easier. The shift happens when we stop shrinking, stop isolating, and allow our fire to burn instead of simmer. I have hidden for years fears of discouraging, confronting, or allowing the mental abuse. But today I call my power back. I am no longer afraid, and I will no longer hide behind the walls, isolate myself no longer, shrink myself no longer. My fire needs to burn, not simmer. And your fire needs to burn too. Because here's the truth: fear is not proof that you're weak. Fear is a companion on the road to your power. Self doubt is not evidence that you're unqualified. Self doubt is evidence that you're evolving. Anxiety is not a sign that you need to toughen up. Anxiety is a sign that you're stretching beyond survival mode and into your true power. And when you stop treating fear as the enemy and start treating it as data, everything changes. You stop waiting to be fearless before you take action. You stop waiting to have it all figured out before you claim your power. You stop waiting for permission to be soft, to be vulnerable, to be whole. You start moving while afraid. You start building while uncertain. You start leading while still learning. And that, my beautiful souls, is how you call your power back. So here's what I want you to do: not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready, right now. This week, identify one place in your professional or entrepreneurial life where fear has been running the show, a conversation you've avoided, an offer you haven't launched, a room you haven't stepped into. Ask yourself, if fear is just data, not a verdict, what is it trying to tell me? And what is one small, courageous action I can take anyway? Then commit to taking that one action. And if you feel led, share it with someone in your community so you're no longer hiding behind the walls or shrinking your fire. Don't wait to be fearless. Act while afraid and let that be your testimony, because the world doesn't need another version of you playing small. The world needs the fullness of who you are when your fire burns, not simmers. The world needs your voice, your vision, your power unleashed. So stop waiting, stop hiding, stop shrinking. Call your power back and watch what happens when you do. Thank you.